My brother said we should split everything evenly. Then he listed Mom's house under his wife's maiden name. When Mom passed last spring, my brother Ryan and I were the only family left. We'd always been close growing up, camping trips every summer, fixing cars in his garage when we were teenagers. He was the responsible one who went to college and got a good job at some tech company. I dropped out and worked construction, which Mom always worried about but never made me feel bad for. At the funeral, Ryan put his arm around me and said we'd handle everything together, equal partners, just like Mom would have wanted. She'd left everything to both of us in her will. The house, her savings, even her old Honda that barely ran anymore. The house was worth maybe $180,000. Not fancy, but paid off completely. Ryan said we should take our time deciding what to do with it. 2 weeks later, he called me over to discuss our options. We could sell and split the money, or one of us could buy the other out. I figured we'd talk it through like adults. When I got to his place, his wife Jessica was there too, which seemed weird, but whatever. They had papers spread all over the kitchen table. Ryan started explaining how they'd researched the property value and found a good realtor. Then Jessica chimed in about how the housing market was perfect for selling. She kept saying we when talking about decisions, like, we think it's best to list it soon, and we already talked to a lawyer about the paperwork. Every time she said we, I noticed Ryan looking uncomfortable. That's when I saw the listing papers. The house was already listed, without telling me. But what really made my stomach drop was seeing the seller's name printed at the bottom. Jessica Parker. Not Jessica Morrison. Her married name. Her maiden name. Parker. I asked why the house was listed under Jessica's name when she wasn't even mentioned in Mom's will. Ryan got this look on his face like a kid caught stealing candy. He started stumbling over his words, saying it was just paperwork stuff. Easier for tax reasons. Nothing to worry about. Jessica jumped in saying their lawyer recommended it because she had better credit or some garbage excuse. But I wasn't stupid. I pulled out my phone and called the realtor number on the listing right there at their kitchen table. When the woman answered, I asked who owned the property on Mom's street. She said Jessica Parker was the sole owner and had already signed all the documents. The realtor seemed confused when I said I was supposed to be a co-owner. Ryan's face went completely red. Jessica started talking fast about how this was all a misunderstanding, how they were obviously going to give me my half. But the realtor lady was still on the phone, and she said Jessica had specifically told her there were no other family members with claims to the property. I hung up and stared at them both. My own brother had basically stolen our mother's house and tried to cover it up with fancy paperwork. He wasn't planning to split anything evenly. He was planning to sell Mom's house and keep every penny while making me think we were partners. The worst part was Jessica sitting there acting like this was all normal. She actually had the nerve to say they needed the money more because they had kids to think about. As if Mom being my mother too didn't matter. As if 28 years of me taking care of Mom when Ryan was busy with his perfect life meant nothing. I stood up and told them I was calling a lawyer first thing Monday morning. Jessica rolled her eyes and said I was being dramatic, but Ryan knew he was caught. He started backtracking, saying maybe they could fix the paperwork, maybe add my name back somehow. Too late for that. Monday morning, I called every lawyer in town until I found one who specialized in family estate disputes. Turns out what they did was completely illegal. You can't just transfer property ownership without all legal heirs agreeing. The lawyer said Jessica signing those papers was fraud, plain and simple. 3 months later, we were in court. Ryan had to explain to a judge why he thought he could steal his dead mother's house from his own brother. The judge was not impressed. Jessica had to pay back all the money from the sale plus penalties for fraud. They also had to cover my lawyer fees. But here's the real kicker. During the investigation, we found out Jessica had done this before with her first husband's family property after he died. She had a whole pattern of manipulating paperwork to get what she wanted. Ryan had no idea he'd married someone who made a hobby out of screwing over grieving families. They're getting divorced now. Ryan moved back into Mom's house temporarily while everything gets sorted out. He apologized about 100 times, said Jessica convinced him it was all legal and normal.